Going live, going live. Oh, we're live. Hello. How is everybody doing today? My name is Jenny Mitich. Today I'm here to answer all of your carnivore related questions. We have a lot to go over, so if you are joining me live, I can't talk. If you're joining me live, let me know if you can hear me, because that's the most important thing. If you can't hear me, why am I even trying? I'd also like to thank ButcherBox for sponsoring today's live stream. ButcherBox is a premium meat subscription delivery service that is dedicated to delivering fresh, ethically raised, ethically sourced meat straight to your front door. Click the link in the description to see what their newest deal is. They always have amazing deals. David, hello. Good to see you. Can you hear me? That is the key. I wanted to mention where you can follow me over on my socials. So I just started doing a lot over on TikTok and Mama Mitich on Instagram. Those are my two social names. I will leave them up for a minute. If you would like a free grocery list, carnivore grocery list, and a free meal plan, I talk about that in a few of my videos. You can send me a message at either one of those, and I will get you the information that you need, completely free resources. They can be very helpful in the beginning of carnivore if you need some help. Especially, the grocery list, pretty self-explanatory, but sometimes people don't realize just how much they can eat on carnivore. You know what I mean? So that is where you can find those things. Also, we have jennymitich.shop for different carnivore apparel. Use code RIBEYE15 to get 15% off your order. So I wanted to talk a little bit about some meetups that are coming up very, very soon. Pretty excited about that. Looks like everybody can hear me, so that's wonderful. Thank you for your help. Before we get into all of the housekeeping stuff I have, I'm going to be answering all of your questions today. So if you have a question about the carnivore diet, a burning question of some kind, put them in the comment section below. As soon as I'm done with all of this little handy dandy list, I'm going to get over to all of your questions. I have time today to cover them all. We also have some questions from YouTube. From the posts that I posted the past few days, I want to make sure I'm answering all of those questions as well. So thank you for joining me. Okay, let's talk about some things that are coming up where we can all hang out. So there's a meetup in Arlington Heights, Illinois. It's in the Chicagoland area this Saturday, January 11th from 11 to 3. Now, this is being put on by Kerry Mann of Homestead How. It is a fundraiser for his documentary, Healing Humanity. And I believe the speakers are going to include him, Dr. Kiltz, Dr. Lisa Wiedemann, Dr. Tony Hampton, and a few others. Now, this is a ticketed event. Tickets are $50, and I believe there was a couple of special tickets that were $200, but those are the two tiers. And as for yesterday, there was like 6 tickets left. So this is going to be a really well-attended event. If there's any tickets left and you're in the Chicagoland area, pick up a ticket. Link is in the description and come hang out with us. My husband and I are going to be there. The wonderful Karen Miles and some of our Chicago peeps are going to be there. So it's going to be so much fun. So much fun. The next opportunity for learning and hanging out with low-carb individuals is the Symposium for Metabolic Health. This is going on from January 24th to the 26th in Boca Raton, Florida. This one is super, super fun. So the symposiums happen twice a year. In Boca in January, and in August they're in San Diego. And there's just a ton of wonderful speakers, a lot of doctors, a lot of researchers that are figuring out different things that are, health-wise going on in keto, carnivore, low carb in general. But some of the highest quality data that you can find about the health and benefits of a ketogenic diet, you're going to see at the symposium. I love it. This is going to be the 3rd time I've attended. I went to Boca last year. I went to San Diego this year. San Diego in August, I should say. And they're really good. Open to the public. I believe it's $399 for a ticket. That does include low carb dinners both nights. And they're really good. Those dinners are great. So I have links to that information. If you're in the Florida area and you want to go to that, it is open to the public. And I believe Dr. Boz, Dr. Siwas, Dr. Westman, and a few other big names in the low carb space are going to be speaking at this conference. It's going to be super fun. I can't wait. I love learning. There's 2 more conferences. One of them I'm actually going to be speaking at. and that's the Collaborative Science Conference that's going on in Las Vegas, February 8th and 9th of this year. So just a month away. Oh my gosh, I should probably start getting my speech together. Just kidding. I already know what I'm going to be talking about, but I need to polish it for sure. So this is an amazing conference. This is the second annual one. This is Dave Feldman's conference, and this is to benefit the second lean mass hyperresponder study. He's trying to get funding so that he can do the second study. And it's just so well organized, so well put together. It did not feel like it was the first time that this event had been put on last year. And tons of good speakers: Nina Teicholz, Dr. Ken Berry, Dr. Nadir Ali, Dominic D'Agostino, Dr. Jamie Seaman. So many people are going to be there. And I'm one of the citizen science speakers. I'm really, really excited about it. I'm one of those weirdos that loves public speaking. So it's going to be great. Now, the cool thing about this conference is you can get entry for $25. That's the lowest tier because it's a donation. So everything, all the ticket fees and all that stuff, less the credit card processing fees, are going straight into funding the lean mass hyperresponder study. So that's awesome. You can go for the entire weekend for $25. And then it does go up from there. The higher tiers, you get more benefits. So like if you pay $500 for your ticket, you get access to a private dinner with a bunch of the speakers and people that will be contributing to the conference. That was really fun. We did that last year. I think it's at Fogo de Chao this year. And then there's other different ways that you can mingle and meet a lot of these people. So that one's going to be amazing. I'm super excited. The final conference I want to talk about is Hack Your Health. It's in November. It's a long, long ways away, but you can get $100 off using my code Jenny Mitich. Link is in the description. If you know you're going to be going to Hack Your Health, save as much money as you can and buy your tickets early. I know they just had a price increase on the 1st of January. Every month, those are going to just keep going up. And it's in Tampa this year. Cool. Okay. I want to talk a little bit about the January challenge. So everybody came up with their own challenge, their own goals, and how they're going to measure their progress. I want to talk about mine, and then we're going to go into a few other things, and then we're going to get to your questions. So if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section so that I can get over to them, because I want to make sure that I'm answering any burning question you have. This is the time. So January, my goal, I would like to get down to 145 at some point this month. We'll see if it happens. I'd also like to strength train 3 days per week, and I want to walk 4 days per week. So I've been doing really good with my goals so far. I'm down 1.2 pounds today. I was actually down 2.2 pounds yesterday. I went up a pound, I think because I was strength training yesterday and I ate like 6 cans of sardines, and I ate later than I normally do. So yeah, it's been going well. The first week of January, I was able to do 2 strength training workouts and 2 walks. This week, I'm on track to meet my 3 strength training and my 4 walks. So I'm happy about that. I have had a bit of a few occurrences where I didn't feel great and I had to like take a nap or just chill out a little bit. But the rest of the time, I've been feeling really good. So that's nice. If you are over on Circle is the Jenny Mitich Carnivore Community. That's the platform that we have that on. We just did our weigh-in post. So if you are going to be doing the weigh-ins, just add your weight to that post, how much you lost, how much you gained, if you stayed the same, whatever. And if you would like to join the Jenny Mitich Carnivore Community, there's a link in the description so that you can do so. We just actually got off of a private live stream with just the Circle group members, so you get a little bit more attention that way. What else here? Coaching hours, just updated those. I'm going to be opening up hours for the rest of January next week so that you can get individualized help if you need it. That is always an option. And I have written down here that I wanted to talk a little bit about blood work, what tests to get done, where to get them. I have a video coming up in a few weeks that is all about new carnivore blood work. What tests you should get done if you're deciding to do blood work as one of your measurement tools, what the optimal ranges should be, some blood testing etiquette, like what you need to do, before you take blood work to make sure you're getting the most accurate results possible. and then when you should retest and when you can expect different results, improvements, I should say, in your metabolic health. So I am going to be releasing that video, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks from now. I already shot it. I just need to edit it. It's a doozy. It's going to be really fun. So if that is something that you're interested in, be sure to pay attention to that one. So I'm going to get into these questions. We're ready for questions. And when I get down to the bottom of the questions in this live stream, I'm going to head over to the questions that were on the posts so that we can get those answered as well. Looks like everybody is good. Roxanne, Jenny, shopping list and menu ideas, please. Okay, so if you would like the free grocery shopping list and or the meal plan, you can get that several ways. So head over to Instagram. Let me put that up again. Boop. Head over to Instagram. Oh, other way. That's my name there. And if you want to do TikTok, you can go over there, send me a message, and I will send you the information so that you can download those lists for free. If you do not have Instagram or TikTok, you can send me an email. My email is listed in the description of every single one of my videos, and I will get them to you that way. I'll leave that up for a minute so that you can hear that. Hello, hello. I'm very happy that you are here with us, Sherry. Mrs. Hooligan Fish, any recommendations of good, clean beef bone broth that somebody can buy? It's a great question. 'Tis a great question. I do not consume a lot of bone broth. I typically make my own. There are some good brands, though. I have looked at the grocery store. They just seem so expensive to me. I would just say I don't know of any brands offhand, unfortunately. But I would say just read the ingredients label, stick to organic as much as you can, so that'll avoid any kind of pesticides on any of the spices or whatever they're going to use in it. And then if you can find grass-fed, grass-finished beef bones, that's going to be the very highest quality you could get. But I do not know any offhand. If anybody in the live stream knows of the name of some brands of some good, clean beef bone broth, put them in the comments so that we can give them to Mrs. Hooligan Fish. Purpose-driven life. I'm wondering if ranchers and carnivore growers are included in these conferences because the government seems to be pushing to get rid of ranching. That's an excellent question. And yes, they are included. At Hack Your Health last year, there was a whole regenerative agriculture section of the conference. And there were tons of grass-fed, grass-finished ranchers and farms there as sponsors and with booths showing and selling their goods. I know at the Collaborative Science Conference that's coming up in February, Peter Ballerstedt and one other gentleman are going to be doing a fun debate on regenerative agriculture, and that is a focus of that conference as well. I think they go hand in hand. We can't have meat if we don't have ranchers growing said meat. So yeah, it is very important. So yes, some of those conferences do include that. And I feel like as, carnivore and all of that kind of grows in popularity, that's going to become more and more of a focus because with the dietary guidelines and the whole plant-based push that seems to be out there all around the world, it seems like ranchers and farmers are being penalized for having for raising cows. Like cows are what's contributing to climate change. It's like, let's take care of the airplanes, the automobiles, the trucking industry, energy production. The healthcare industry has more emissions than animal agriculture every year. And if you've ever been to the hospital, you will know just how much stuff they waste. It's incredible. I think that's going to become even more important and grow in importance as time goes on, for sure. Happy New Year to you, my friends. Jordan, hello from right across the lake in Michigan. I love Michigan. Michigan is such a beautiful state. Hilly Suze, do you water fast? Me personally, I sometimes, once in a blue moon. I have currently been experimenting with sardine fasting a lot. My husband water fasts. So we've been doing Let me snooze that. We've been doing a pretty aggressive fasting protocol on him because he had some stubborn insulin resistance and we were having a hard time just doing carnivore. He wasn't losing weight. I lost almost 50 pounds in 18 months. He lost nothing. So we've been doing a lot of water fasting with him. But for me, the longest water fast I've done is 37 hours. I need to continue to work on that and up that. But for now, I'm just doing the sardine fasts. Any tips for an extended 5-day water fast? Today is my 6-month carniversary. I'm celebrating with a fast. Yeah, I mean, just make sure you're keeping up with electrolytes if you need them. For longer fasts, I do not recommend doing any other exercise besides walking because it'll just sap your energy pretty quickly. Just pay attention to how you're feeling. If you need some bone broth or something like that, just drink it. The first 3 days are the crappiest part of any water fast. After that, your ketones have really started to ramp up and you're going to feel really good. I know my husband right now is on, I think, day 12 of a water fast. He's an experienced faster. He's been doing this for years and he loves it. He loves it. So just pay attention to how you feel. That's the most important thing. Chrissy, what supplements do you take? Oh man, I take a few. I am not of the belief that once you go on carnivore, you just stop taking all your supplements or things like that. I think supplements have a place. I take some supplements because I have Hashimoto's, hypothyroid. I'm managing that condition. So I take a selenium, I take iodine, I take one of Dr. Amy's supplements called Hashimoto's Fixer. It's a black cumin seed oil. And then I take a few other things. I always supplement with a D3 and a K2, especially in the winter because I live in the Chicagoland area and there is no sunlight. Everybody should probably be supplementing with D unless you live in an area where you're getting constant sun and you're being, purposeful about getting out in the sun and letting it hit your skin. What else do I take? I take a B complex, a methylated B complex because I have an MTRR mutation. That's similar to the MTHFR mutation where my body has a hard time methylating B vitamins. So even though I eat a ton of red meat, my B12 without supplementation is pretty low. I mean, it's normal, but it's low normal. And that is because my body just has a hard time methylating the B vitamins. So if you have that issue, which about 40% of the population do, you need to give your body what it needs. So I do the methylated B complex. There's a couple of different brands I like. What else? I do a berberine. So the berberine is an interesting one. It's like a natural metformin. And if you've been watching my channel, you'll know that on carnivore, I have seen my A1C levels be between 5.1 and 5.7, even though my average glucose is between 75 and 85. So the theory is that the one that I've heard is that your red blood cells are living longer when you're on carnivore because you're healthier. And that just gives them more time to accumulate a glucose molecule. So that can throw off an A1C reading. Interesting concept, never been proven. I don't know if that's ever a thing, but I took a berberine at the suggestion of my holistic thyroid practitioner just to see if it would go down. And you know what? My A1C has been steadily going down. It's interesting. Last blood test was a couple of weeks ago. It was at a 5.1, and I get a blood test on Monday. And I'm really interested to see if it's going to go down to 5. Who knows? So I take that. What else do I take? Sometimes I do the liver beef organ supplements. I throw those in maybe once or twice a week just because I don't like to eat liver, but I want the vitamins and minerals. And there's a few others. It's funny you ask this. I am creating a short about this. So I will go into exactly what I use and when. Like for the D3 and the K2, I only take those Monday through Friday, and then I don't take them over the weekend. Same thing with the iodine. I'll take that during the week, and then over the weekend, I don't take it just to give my body a break. But that's kind of how I do that. All right, PJ Miller, do you know if carnivore can help with tinnitus, ringing in the ears? That's a really great question. I don't see why not. I haven't talked to anybody specifically with that. I know a few people in my carnivore community, they don't have tinnitus. They have something else that has to do with the ears. And carnivore has been really helpful with them, but I cannot remember for the life of me what it's called. But yes, it is a possibility. Worth a shot, because that would be definitely horrible. You're very welcome. Butcher's bone broth from Publix. Okay, that's a good option there. All right, Cameron Norman. Hi, all. Carnivore from Australia here. Lost 34 kilograms in 4 months on this diet. No gym, no gimmicks. This has changed my life. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. If you guys have a good, story, success story about carnivore, share those too, because we love hearing them. That's awesome, Cameron. Good for you. Here's some more good bone broth suggestions. Bonafide bone broth, freezer section of the grocery store. Kettle brand or Bonafide. Everyone seems to be really liking the Kettle brand. Sherry, I'm doing the sardine challenge on my 3rd day. I can't seem to eat more than 3 cans a day. I'm so full. It's so dense. Am I too low? No, I don't think so. I eat anywhere between 3 and 6 cans per day. And, for the first few sardine fasts that you do, you might eat a little lower. And then as you go on, you'll get, you'll up, but it changes every day. Like right now I have a bowl of sardines right here because I needed to eat. These are my first sardines of the day. I'm having 2 cans. Yesterday I had 6 cans of sardines. And then the day before that and the day before that, I had 3 cans each. So no, I think that's fine. You also don't want to just like force yourself to eat. That's not the point of it. Julie Hunt. Good evening, Jenny. Do you have any guidance regarding carnivore diet helping menopausal symptoms, especially night sweats? Thank you for your merch. You're very welcome, Julie. So yes, increase the fat. There's a couple of people you're going to want to check out. Dr. Lisa Wiedemann, the Carnivore Doctor is her handle over on YouTube. We're on YouTube. On YouTube, Carnivore Doctor, she's excellent. She has a lot of really great advice for pre and peri and post-menopausal women. Dr. Elizabeth Bright is another excellent resource for information on carnivore and menopause. She actually has a whole book on the topic. She has a book about menopause and she has a book about puberty. And I believe she was working on a book currently about, I think, pregnancy. But yeah, great resources. Up the fat. Really high fat carnivore is really good for menopausal symptoms. And also in general, Julie, as you continue to improve your health, you will notice that those improve. A lot of that, like cramps, PMS stuff that you get when you still have a cycle, and then a lot of the stereotypical menopause symptoms like hot flashes, a lot of that is just due to the food that we eat and our metabolic health. One thing I will note, as I've been on carnivore, I used to have really bad cramps with my monthly cycle. And now I don't have any, none. I mean, my cycle is like to a T every month, but I would know it was coming because like a day before I would have cramps. I also had a lot of improvements in my mood. Like the week before, I used to just kind of be a little, like a lot of us are. But I'm not like that anymore, as long as I'm staying strict carnivore. So yeah, high fat. Try that out, and then check out Dr. Elizabeth Bright and Dr. Lisa Wiedemann, the Carnivore Doctor. Aliyah, hello. It was so great. I had so much fun. I was on Dr. Kiltz's Mighty Carnivore Community on Monday. It was great. I had a blast. He's wonderful and his community is wonderful. And it was so much fun. Aaron is on day 14 of a sardine challenge. Yeah, you started a few days before me. So how is it going? Are you enjoying yourself? You're just doing the 14 days, right, Aaron? That's what I'm pretty sure is going on. Okay. Thanks for getting all the blood work for us. You're very welcome. I think it's important. When I started carnivore, I was very curious about what would happen to my blood work. And I couldn't find a ton of information. It's out there, but I like to consolidate what's out there and put it into one little easy to understand video and give you all the resources you need, because that's what I wish I had in the beginning of carnivore. Instead, I had to do it for you, but that's okay because I enjoy it. Jojo, what is your dose of berberine? That's a really great question. I use I use a brand from Amazon. Let me just look it up for you right now because it's easy. It is called Super. I'm going to put in organic berberine. And it is called, Where Are You? Why are you not popping up when I need you? Why, there it is. Glucovantage Super Berberine. This one is 5 times more effective than regular berberine, okay? And it is dosage. It's 200 milligrams is what it's saying here. I'll just put a link to it in the description. I like this one a lot. Haven't noticed any side effects at all from it. And it's been working really well. I mean, I think when I started taking the berberine, it was, my A1C was at a 5.4 or 5.5. Let's see if I have it. Oh, yeah. The berberine I use is already linked in the description for you. So you're good to go. And yeah, and now my A1C is a 5.1. So it's been highly effective. It's working. And that one's really clean. There's not a bunch of added ingredients in it. So that's good too. Erin is eating anywhere between 3 to 5 cans of sardines when she is sardine fasting. And I feel like I'm going to say your name. Aaliyah. Is it Aaliyah? Tell me if I'm wrong. When I did a sardine fast, I was eating 1 can a day. Felt like poop. Maybe I wasn't eating enough. Yeah, probably. You got to make sure you're getting enough food if you're going to be doing the sardine fasting. All right. Great question, Kurt. Has anyone suffered with gout since being on carnivore? I hadn't had an attack in years, then 2 attacks in 4 months. Not fun. Yes, that is very common, but it's not because of the carnivore. So what's happening is when you cut out all of the carbohydrates, all of the fruits and vegetables that are very high oxalate, your body is then like, I can start dumping all of these oxalates out of my body. And that's why you can see flare-ups in gout. That's why you can see kidney stones. That's why you can see like gallbladder blockages and things like that. A lot of that is related to that. So I always recommend for people that have experienced that in the past that they slowly ramp down their carbs over time. You, of course, want to get rid of all the ultra-processed stuff, sugar, bread, pastas, starches, all that kind of stuff. But you can leave some fruits and vegetables in so that will slow the oxalate dumping process. As your metabolic health improves, as your insulin sensitivity improves, and as your body begins to heal itself, your gout will improve and this won't happen again. But it can be very, very frustrating, but common, unfortunately. A good resource to check out if you haven't watched their videos yet, too. So Dr. Ken Berry has a few really good videos on this topic. And Dr. Annette Boz, Dr. Boz, she has some really good gout and ketogenic low carb videos about the mechanisms behind it. She's an excellent teacher. She has great graphics too. So check out those videos if you want a little bit more information about that. Erin, I ate sardines in water, so I have to add butter. There you go. Yeah, I just bought some sardines in water. I'm typically getting the ones in oil. Hi, Jenny. Tell us more about your coming book. Okay, let's do it. My book is called Complete Carnivore. It's a complete in-depth guide to the carnivore diet, along with 80 carnivore recipes. So it's basically like 2 books in one. I wanted to put together like what would be like an encyclopedia, a full reference guide to carnivore so that any questions you have would be answered. I want beginners to be able to feel like they have everything they need to get started in one volume. The recipes, they're not just like basic recipes. These recipes are for if you want to mix it up a little bit, there's something for everyone. I've even got desserts. I've got a few breads, carnivore breads. And then I did throw in 6 keto cheat meal recipes, just the 6 meals that my husband and I do whenever we do our keto cheat meal, which is typically once a month. So there's some really, really good recipes in there too. I am in the process of editing the book. First manuscript is in. Finished that on December 12th. Went and did a cover shoot for the cover on the 16th. And then it was the Christmas holiday. I'm expecting to have drafts of the cover this week. And what I'm thinking about doing, I don't know yet, is I was going to maybe post them on YouTube so you guys can kind of give your opinion of which ones you like better. It's going to be kind of a grid style cover, not just my face. I'll be on it, but it'll also be like food and different things because it's not just a cookbook. It's a lot more than that. I would say it's more of the in-depth guide than the cookbook, but it's going to be great. I'm excited. I can't wait to hold it in my hands. Pre-orders will be available really soon. As soon as we have a cover, I'll be able to put up links and you can pre-order the book. And the goal is to get as many pre-orders as humanly possible, because in order to get your book on the bookshelves in a bookstore like Barnes & Noble or Walmart or Target or like all the big, retailers, you have to pre-sell a certain amount of books. And that kind of like builds the excitement. And then the publisher can be like, look, we've already pre-sold this many books. You have to have it on your shelf when it's released on its release date. So that's the goal. I'll have a lot more information for you probably in the next 2 weeks. It's really gearing up and I'm pretty excited about it. So I hope you're excited about it too. Julie, I came from a vegan background. Jenny, thank you. Okay. Vegan. Well, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here with us. Christine, had my first experience with meat aversion yesterday. How do I get past it? Oh, that's fun. Yeah, that happens. What I like to do is I switch to a different food. For me at week 3, I couldn't eat any more steak. And that's just so elitist. But I couldn't look at another steak. So I switched over to just ground beef, or I just did eggs, or I just did bacon. Sometimes just listen to your body and maybe just do some electrolytes or something. Maybe just do some butter or something like that. It will improve. My meat aversions went away by week 5. So that's just kind of par for course. You're eating a totally different way. You got to get used to it, unfortunately, but it will get better. All right. Erin is doing the 14-day sardine fast. Really fun, and lost 10 pounds. Kurt, carnivore hasn't helped my tinnitus. Been on carnivore for 18 months. Had tinnitus forever. No difference. Sorry. There you go. No difference for Kurt. Ginger. Was it senior's disease? I do not know what that is. Aaliyah, like the singer. Aaliyah. I love it. Thank you for clarifying. I hate when I mispronounce people's names. Let's see. 28-day sardine fast, 5 cans a day. Nice. I'm working my way up to a month sardine fast, but we'll see. There we go. Is it Meniere's? That's what I was trying to remember earlier, the ear disease. And Carnivore Alley on, I think that's her handle on Instagram. She had that and was able to improve it with carnivore. But there might be a few other things to tweak for tinnitus. And also, though, guys, carnivore doesn't just fix everything. And, it's not a magic bullet. Carnivore will help to improve your metabolic health and things like that. But sometimes was outside damage that caused it in the first place. Or, it's not going to be a magic bullet. So unfortunately, maybe there's nothing that carnivore can do for that. But then there might also be a different root cause issue for the tinnitus. I don't know. I don't know. Lady, oh my God, that's why I had 3 kidney stones in 4 months. Yeah. I talk about this in my book. There is a section about if you have had gout or kidney stones or things in the past, that gradually ramping down your carbs is probably the best bet, just so that you can avoid a lot of those things. All right. Hi, everyone. The berberine that Jenny suggested is what I ordered, and my fasting numbers are improving. I used a brand that said it was one of the better brands, but didn't get these improvements. That's great. Wonderful. Yeah, I was shocked that my A1C improved that quickly. I started taking it, and then within the very next blood test, because I'm blood testing myself like every 2 weeks because I'm a psycho. Well, it's because I'm creating videos around it for educational reasons, but I also like getting blood drawn, and I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't. That is a really good brand. I've had a lot of success with it. Whenever I'm looking for a supplement, I do a lot of research. I read the back of the label. I try to make sure it's sourced well and that I know where it's coming from. I really put some time into it just because I want to make sure it's not a regulated industry. You have to be careful about what you're using. Okay, Stephanie, I'm very new to carnivore and jumped in with both feet, so I'm still learning. That's okay. Welcome to the community. But should I have had more than a 1.6 pound loss? I feel like I see big numbers and I was hoping for the same. Yeah. And that can be really frustrating. It's different for every person. Everybody is going to have different amounts of weight lost. For me, my first month, I lost 8 pounds. That's why I recommend, so the scale is like the very worst measurement tool we have. I want you to take baseline measurements. I want you to find a piece of clothing that is not fitting you very well and use that as a baseline. Try it on every week and see if it improves. Sometimes you won't lose weight on the scale, but you will lose inches and you will be able to fit into your clothes better. You also need to take a look at how you're feeling mentally and physically. Are you feeling better? Are your depression or anxiety symptoms going away? Is there an ache and a pain that you've had your entire life and now it's faded or gone? That's the kind of wins you need to look for in the beginning. The weight loss will come eventually as your insulin resistance improves. It took us decades to get to where we are today, and it's not going to improve overnight. So you got to give your body some time, especially in the beginning. You have to get used to this way of eating. It takes your body a couple of months, honestly, to really get used to this new fuel source. And then your body needs time to rearrange itself and fix itself and, do all of that. It takes time. So no, I mean, 1.6 pounds. I'm assuming, did you start in the beginning of January? That's pretty good. I mean, I lose about a pound, 1.2 pounds a week when I'm losing, if I'm being intentional about it. All right, Sherry, yay, excited for that. I watch your shorts on making meals all the time and they are so easy, quick, and yummy. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I personally don't like spending a lot of time in the kitchen. It's not that I don't like cooking. I enjoy cooking. It's fun. But I have so many things on my plate. I have twin toddlers. I want to spend time with my husband. I also like to read. I'm constantly reading. And then I'm creating lots of content. I make 6 to 10 full-length videos for you guys, plus live streams. We've got the carnivore community. I need to work out, sleep. So I don't want to have to spend hours a day in the kitchen. I don't have time. So most of the time I'm eating beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. That's my standards. And then I'll throw in a fast of some kind at least once a month. The sardine fasting has been going really well. And then though, I like to throw in a different recipe once in a blue moon. Now, not everybody is like me. I'm very utilitarian. I'm boring. I can eat that way for months and not get bored. But there's a lot of people out there that need more variety. So I create these recipes for you guys. I myself just eat steak or ground beef or bacon. I can eat a pound of bacon a day. But it's been fun. It's been really fun to develop different recipes and figure out different ways to eat. My husband does like a bit of variety. So I'm glad that you're enjoying them. 1.6 pounds in a week. Sorry, I forgot that. Yeah, that's great. That's great. It depends on how much weight you have to lose, how much inflammation you have. Do the baseline measurements and find a piece of clothing that doesn't fit you right now, because I think that's going to be really encouraging if you are having not seeing a lot of movement on the scale, because the scale sucks. It sucks. I weigh myself every single day because I'm a masochist. Is a masochist or a sadist? Whatever. I like to punish myself. And that's okay. I'm used to it now. I've been weighing myself every day for years. So I'm used to the ups and downs and ups and downs and ups. That's just the way it works. It depends on how much you slept, how much you ate or didn't eat the day before. For me, if I do a hard strength training workout, I almost always weigh more the next day. It is what it is. What I'm looking for is the overall trends over time. And that's another reason why I get the DEXA scans, because then I can see, am I losing fat and gaining muscle? Instead of the weight on the scale, I've really kind of been shifting my focus over to overall fat mass and trying to get that down. So right now, I think I'm at like 33.6. I'd like to get that down to like 25% fat, instead of just a number on a scale, because I feel like that I can focus on more than just that, because I'd like to get to 130. Woohoo, that's my goal. But will I be happy at 130? Like, I know what I would be happy at. Just, I want to be toned. I want to have, fat in the right places, and I want to, have my muscles showing. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to have like six-pack abs or things like that. Maybe, who knows? Never say never. But I've been trying to get away from like just the weight, being focused on the weight. All right, Debbie Price. Hello, hello. I'm wondering if I should consume more fat because I haven't had a bowel movement for a few days now. Yeah, maybe. That can definitely be something that can help. Increasing your fat consumption is going to help with energy levels as well. You don't really have to increase it too much. Just do a little bit, maybe like 20 grams. You could eat some butter. That could be helpful. But also, you might just not be creating as much fecal volume. I know Debbie has been on carnivore for a few months now, so her body's pretty used to it. But you did have a few cheat meals around the holidays, so you're kind of back on it now. So it might have just slowed down. But when you're eating all meat and eggs, your body is utilizing a lot of what you're putting into it. It's actually using it up. Whereas when you're eating a ton of plants and ultra processed foods and things like that, there's a lot of fiber. There's a lot of unusable stuff in there. So that's why you're going to be, pooping a lot more. But yeah, try increasing the fat. If you really want to get things moving, you can do hot rendered fats. So like melted butter over your burgers or a steak, or the fat that cooks away from your ground beef. That's like hot rendered fat. That'll get things moving real quick. So make sure you're near a toilet. Lady Casca says, add more fat. Rachel, thank you for all you do for the world. Super grateful. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks for watching. Thorn berberine is my favorite. I like the brand Thorn. They're really good. I'm actually using their B complex right now and their selenium, and I've used their melatonin. They're clean. They're an overall good brand. Stacy, for me, are you taking just one berberine daily? For me, yes. Of that brand that I mentioned, it's linked in the description. I think that's what it calls for, so that's what I take. Lady Casca, I've lost one entire shirt size just from inflammation and bloat. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. I just did a post. Did it come out yet? No. I scheduled a post for YouTube where I went back and looked at my 30-day carnivore diet update video. I think I was like 188 pounds then. And then I took a look at my very last video for 2024, and I put my face side by side. And it's amazing just how much inflammation is gone, and that goes for your entire body. That's why I really like the finding the piece of clothing so you can measure it that way, because that changes so quick. And when it's on you, you don't notice the subtle differences as much. But I'm sure if somebody else was to see you and they hadn't seen you in months, they'd be like, oh my God, wow, what are you doing? But for us, we look at ourselves all day long. So it's kind of like, you don't notice the difference. But the clothing doesn't change. So I like to find something that's small. I do that with my jackets, and I've done that with some really skinny jeans that I had from like 2016. And I'm fitting into them now. It's amazing. It is amazing. Healing happens on its time, not ours. Yes, 100%. We all have our timelines and timetables, and our body has different ideas. The way I like to think about this, Kelly Hogan had an excellent, I think it was a post. Maybe it was a story, but whatever. She was talking about, she's been carnivore for, 15, 16, something, a very long time. 10, 12, a very, very long time. She's been carnivore, and she's had a lot of fits and starts. She would lose some weight and then plateau for a few years and then lose some more weight, dial more things in. It's taken a lot of time. And the key is consistency and treating your body well. And eventually you will get there. But we all want to get there now. I understand. I'm the same way. I'm like, man, I want to make sure I have a good bikini body this summer. And it's like, will I get there? I don't know. We'll see. Sherry K, man, you are all encouraging me to do a longer sardine fast. I was going to stop today, but I'm thinking of going for 7 now. Thanks. The very first sardine fast I did, I was going for 3 days. And it was so easy that I just went for 7. That's why I love sardine fasting. It's excellent. I'm actually going to be trying to get an interview with Dr. Boz. She has so many great videos on sardine fasting, and she's going to be at the Symposium for Metabolic Health in January, in the next couple of weeks. And I'm going to try to meet her and set up a time that we can do an interview about sardine fasting, because I want to pick her brain a bit. All right. Rachel, do you believe even on carnivore, it's a matter of calories in versus calories burnt to lose weight? Some people say just eat meat till it doesn't taste nice. However, I don't lose weight this way. It's going to be different for every person. Calories are complicated. Our bodies don't just work like a furnace. You don't just put the stuff in, your body burns it, and then it's gone. You know what I mean? Everybody's going to be a little different just because of your lived experience. So, also where do you live? How did you eat your entire life? What's your exercise levels? What's your exposure to pollutants? There's so many things that go into it. So while I do recommend a minimum amount of calories for people to eat, in general, that's not going to work for everyone. I don't really do any maximum. You have to figure out what works best for you. So the answer to that question is it's complicated. Sorry. Unfortunately, it is. Do what works best for you. Do what works best for you. Make sure you're eating enough. You can do fasts, here and there. That's a really great way to jumpstart weight loss. And if the weight loss is slow, it may be some lingering insulin resistance, but it could also be hormonal. So my weight loss issues, that's all I don't want to say all, it's mostly due to thyroid. I had a thyroid condition, have a thyroid condition that I am dealing with. And as I've been improving that, the weight loss has been coming too. So it could be a lot of different things. Stephanie A. I did start January 1st and I did take measurements. Thank you for the other suggestions. Awesome. Great. So you're doing great. 1.6 pounds is good. Like I said, the first month that I was on carnivore, I lost 8 pounds. And when I made my video, there were so many commenters that were like, that's not that much weight, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, you know what? Screw you, because I'm happy with that amount of weight loss. That was the most weight I had ever lost in 1 month. And I didn't have like a ton of weight. I was at 195 when I started carnivore. So I had a solid 50 pounds easy to come off. If you're morbidly obese, you may have more weight to come off. If you have a lot of inflammation, you might see a ton of water weight come off that first week. It depends also on how many carbs you were eating before. Were you eating like a ton of carbs? Then yeah, your body's going to be, shedding all that water weight, because you hold on to water when you're eating a lot of carbs. But yeah, take it day by day. I think you're doing a great job, and it is going to come off eventually. The fact that you've already lost 1.6 pounds is awesome. Okay, JD468, what is the benefit of eating only sardines? Great question. So sardine fasting is an excellent way to kind of jumpstart your metabolism. It helps with autophagy, helps you get into ketosis. It can help lower your blood glucose levels over time. And one of the reasons why I really like sardine fasting is I really enjoy the fact that it mimics the effects of a water fast, but I can still eat. I like that. I have done several experiments where I do a DEXA scan, blood work before and after, along with tracking with a continuous ketone monitor and a continuous glucose monitor. And the effects are similar to a water fast. Pretty cool stuff. I am aware of a person that did at least 150 days of just eating sardines. It is entirely possible. Would I want to do that? No, because I really like steak and I really like bacon and eggs. But yeah, it's a doable thing. If you're interested in, yes, omega-3s, that's a really good one too. If you're interested in the sardine stuff, I have several videos on my channel, a whole sardine fasting playlist that you can take a look at the data, and we go into all the benefits there. But Chrissy talks about the nutrient dense and high in omega-3s. So I learned a really good way to think of this. Omega-3s come from the sea. And you really don't, a lot of people don't eat a lot of omega-3s. We're getting a lot of omega-6s. And in and of themselves, omega-6 isn't bad, but you want to have I mean, it is bad, but in too much amounts. But you're going to have some of both, right? So when I started increasing my sardine consumption, my omega-3s went way up. So my omega-6 to omega-3 ratio went way down, which is good. You want that to be low. And then, you only really need 1 to 2 cans per week to see the benefits. And it doesn't just have to be sardines. It can be any seafood. So interesting stuff. Great question. If I'm on a budget, what are the bare bones blood tests to do and how often? Every 6 months. Thank you. And Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to you as well. Great question. So I have a whole video coming out about this in a couple of weeks. Bare bones, standard lipid panel, comprehensive metabolic panel, fasting insulin, and I would say those 3 definitely. You could throw in an A1C. A1C is a cheap test. I like to do a vitamin D just to make sure I'm, getting enough. And I like to throw in an hsCRP to see systemic inflammation. But bare bone, I would say standard lipid panel, that's a $10 test. Comprehensive metabolic panel, $10. Fasting insulin is $14.40, and an A1C is like $8.50 or $8.80. All of these are over on ownyourlabs.com. I have links to that in the description, along with a coupon code. Jenny Mitich is the coupon code. You get 10% off your order, and that is not an affiliate link. That's just to save you some money because I think everybody should know their numbers. I would say get a baseline. If you don't have any numbers from before you started carnivore that are within like a year or two, get a baseline wherever you're at now, and then retest after 6 months. Yeah, especially in the beginning of carnivore, you may see some weird things happen with your blood work, specifically triglycerides. Sometimes people can see a jump in their triglycerides temporarily because when you're losing a lot of weight, you can see a rise in your triglycerides that will then go down. It's because your body is utilizing them. It's breaking your fat stores down into triglycerides, among other things, and using them. So you could see a temporary rise. But yeah, I think every 6 months is good. I'm, again, a psychopath, so I'm getting my blood tested every 2 weeks. You can do as often as you want. But yeah, if budget is a thing, every 6 months I think is good. And that's like $40-something worth of tests, and then you get the 10% off. Christine Lamb, I weigh every 2 weeks and measure my waist once a month works for me. Yeah, smart. I pooped multiple times a day and diarrhea while 20 years vegan. On ketovore, usually every couple of days, sometimes 3 days in between, no more diarrhea. Yep. Yeah, you're not going to go as often. I probably go once or twice, once a day or once every other day. Thank you so much. 89 people watching, 44 likes. Y'all like this video for her. Thank you, Stacy. I appreciate it. Lady Casca, I have never tried a sardine. How do you eat them? So there's lots of ways. I have a whole video coming. I've done 5 different sardine recipes for you to try to mix up the sardine sardine fasting a little bit. I just stick them in a bowl, put salt on them, and eat them. You can fry them up. You can put them in the air fryer. There's so many different ways, but this is how I'm doing it typically, so that I can just like get them down quickly. Dina, I'm 55. My husband, medical provider, and I have been ketogenic carnivore since 2015. I overcame debilitating migraines and had almost no menopause symptoms. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, that's something that Dr. Lisa Wiedemann talks about. She, went through menopause. She's been carnivore for like 16 years. She didn't have any menopause symptoms. She just turned 60. So she went through menopause, but she didn't have any symptoms because she was carnivore for that period of time. Very interesting. Aaron eats them straight out of the can. Okay, Tom. I keep on starting the carnivore intermittent fasting and then I fail. I try it again and it just seems like I'm so addicted to sugar. It's just so hard to break it. Yeah. 100%. Sugar cravings, it's real. Sugar is just as addictive as drugs and alcohol. And when you stop consuming them, you're going to have some withdrawal symptoms. It can be very, very difficult. I think just keep trying, and take it day by day. That's all you can do. I have an entire video coming out about sugar cravings, how to fight them in the beginning of carnivore on Sunday. That video is coming out on Sunday. So be sure to pay attention for that video. I have a lot of really good resources in there on what you can do to fight the sugar cravings. But they do go away. The sugar cravings do improve. For me, let's see, they completely went away after 4 months. I typically see it from people that I talk to between 1 to 6 months, they're completely gone. Maybe you could use like some kind of keto dessert or sugar substitute or something like that, to eat that instead of something real sugar. I have a carnivore cheesecake recipe that uses allulose or monk fruit or stevia, and that could get you over the hump so that at least you have the sweet taste, but you're not eating the really bad food. You know what I mean? And then use that as a crutch for a little bit. Eat the regular, meat, keto, carnivore, whatever you're going to do. Just eat healthy food the rest of the time. Have a treat, but a one that's not going to kill your blood glucose levels once in a while, and then slowly start to space those out until you can get rid of them completely. But don't beat yourself up about it, Tom, because that's normal. These foods and sugar, they are designed to appeal to our brains. Like it's hard to crack that addiction, but you can do it. You can totally do it. Totally. I believe in you. I was just watching most of your videos. I've been missing. You look so good. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Are you taking any D3 supplements? If so, which brand? That's a good question. Yeah, I take D3. I take K2. I know the so the D3 is from NatureWise. It's a 5,000 IU tablet, and it's the correct type of D3 to take. Colocalcium. I can't remember the name offhand. So NatureWise for the D3, and the K2 that I take is from Sports Research. Pretty clean. Sports Research also has a D3 and K2 brand that's combined. So I'm going to put links to the D3 and the K2 that I use in the description after we get done. Okay. What are your thoughts on the A1 tests, A1C test you can get on Amazon instead of labs? It's 3 months worth. Better or worse? Okay. I have not tested those out for myself, but any kind of at-home test is not going to be as accurate in general currently as of 2025. It's not going to be as accurate as a blood draw because they're testing so much more blood. Whereas for those, you're just doing a drop or two, right? That being said, I'm just saying that as speculative. I have not tested those. And honestly, I feel like I should, because that would be a really good test. So I'm going to, where do you get them done? On Amazon? An Amazon A1C test? I'll look them up and I'll test them and I'll let you know what I think, because I get my blood tested all the time. Thank you. What was that inflammation test again? It's called hsCRP, high sensitivity C-reactive protein. And the goal for that is to have it under a 1. That's going to be optimal. No NMR. What Lauren is referring to is an NMR lipo profile. It's an advanced lipid particle size test. I love those tests, but I don't think you really need to get, I can tell you if you have a B pattern and some, I can tell you if you have a B pattern and the small dense LDL particles, I can tell you that if you just do a standard lipid panel. Because if you have high triglycerides and low HDL, that's what that indicates. The NMR lipo profile is a 70, it's 70 something now. And it's cool. I mean, I do it once or twice a year just to see. But I can get all the information I need from the standard. So that's why I don't recommend that one unless you have some money to spend. For sure. Hilly Sue's, how are the taste of sardines compared to tuna? I don't know. I feel like they're similar. Some people are like, I can do tuna, but I can't do sardines. So what is the difference between ketovore and carnivore? Ketovore is basically just like, I don't know, I think it's like 10 grams of carbs per day or less. Very little plant material. Check out Nisha Salas Berry's channel, Dr. Ken Berry's wife, because she's kind of the one that popularized ketovore. And she mostly eats meat, but then she'll throw in like a homemade coleslaw or something like that, you know. Very, very low amounts of vegetables. Carnivore is all meat and animal products that you're eating. I would consider, I think you can use spices on either. I drink coffee. Some people will be like, that's not a plant. I don't think it's a big deal. Doesn't affect my metabolic health in any way. And you guys know how much I'm testing. Yes, A1Cs are available. Oh, sardines. Are they crunchy? No. I mean, unless you have the bones, could be a bit. So I'm going to let you guys talk in here a little bit. I just want to make sure I'm answering all the questions because I want to get over, before we end, I want to get over to the questions from the posts. There we go. Okay, cool. Okay, lots of kidney stones. Julie, do you know of any bodybuilders who solely use a carnivore diet? Like names of them? No, I don't know of any offhand. If you want to learn more about bodybuilding or like athletes and stuff using carnivore, check out Dr. Chafee's channel. He does a lot of workouts with people that are on carnivore. And he has a lot of information about athletes and carnivore. That's a really good resource. So a question from one of the posts is asking about, wondering if I should quit coffee, wondering about using mustard and or hot sauce occasionally on carnivore. So coffee, I think coffee is fine. I drink decaf black coffee. I'm not decaf because of carnivore. I'm decaf because years ago I had severe anxiety issues and I've just stuck with decaf. That's me. As far as mustard, I use mustard. Mustard's fine. Hot sauce, sure, not a big deal. Read the ingredients labels on all of these things. And I think in the very beginning of carnivore, it's a good idea to not use any spices or sauces or things like that, because you want to give your body time. It's kind of like an elimination diet in the beginning, and then you start to reintroduce things. But there's varying levels of strictness on carnivore. So sure, I don't think that's too big of a deal. Let's go over to this one now. Be sure to pay attention to my posts because I want to make sure I'm answering all your questions. And I know some people can't make the live stream. So I want to make sure I'm answering all your questions. If you guys have any other questions in here, add them to the comment section and I will answer them before we end. All right, does drinking water before, during, or right after a meal affect stomach acidity and thereby affect digestion? Yes, great question. Yeah, it is. It's not recommended to drink a lot of liquid during your meal or right before or right after, especially if you're coming to carnivore and you have really low stomach acid, because you're just going to dilute it. And you need that stomach acid to break down all of the things you're putting in your stomach. So yeah, it's recommended that you chew your food really, really well and swallow and only drink the smallest amount of liquids while you're eating so that you don't dilute it too much. Next question. When you add exercise into your daily routine, should you up your food calories to compensate for those burned calories? You know, that's maybe. I mean, I just eat to hunger. So there's some days where when I'm working out, doing a really hard workout, I'll eat more food. And then some days where I don't. I don't really plan that too much, but I'm also not an athlete. So I just kind of go with how I feel. Would you add more fat and protein or just one or the other? So if I do a strength training workout, I like to make sure I'm getting a lot of protein afterwards, before and afterwards, just to give my muscles the building blocks it needs. But fat too, because fat is a fuel source. So I would just throw in, Instead of maybe eating a 16-ounce steak, I'd eat a 24-ounce steak. But I really just let my hunger guide me. But yeah, I try to make sure I'm getting a lot of protein on the days that I'm working out for sure. Let's see here. Month 3 on BBB and E. Heartburn and reflux has returned. Really bad at night. Thinking of quitting. Should I lower the fat intake? Add a probiotic? What can help in these situations? In the comments, guys, if you can let me know if you've had any heartburn related issues, what helped you? So this person, it's just popped up in month 3. Really bad at night. I would say first, maybe it's a food that's triggering it. And perhaps what you can do is do a food journal for a little bit and kind of see if there's a pattern of like something that you're eating that could be causing that. Typically with heartburn, what's happening is the sphincter between your stomach and your esophagus is not closing. So it's allowing some of that stomach acid to come up. But the way that you keep that sphincter closed is by having really high stomach acid. So maybe for some reason your stomach acid has declined a little bit. I don't know. Maybe you could try an HCl supplement to help with that. Maybe there's some other root cause issue that's causing that. But yes, this is interesting. Joanne, add some digestive enzymes for a bit. It can help. That's a good one. Sphincter says what? Is that from Wayne's World? Because I love that movie. But yes, that can be very, very helpful as well. I have heard some people talking about if you do a little bit of apple cider vinegar before you eat, that can help with the stomach acids as well. But if you do that and that causes pain in your stomach, you probably have some kind of ulcer or something going on down there, and then you wouldn't want to include the apple cider vinegar. But all of those can be helpful. Asked, should I lower the fat intake? Perhaps. I mean, it's definitely worth a shot. Any of these interventions, I would say try one at a time so you can see how each of them works and do it for several days so that you can see, is it effective? Is it not? Sometimes it takes a little bit of time for things to start working. Okay, here's, sometimes hiatal hernia can cause heartburn. Great point. Okay, here's one. Dr. Baker worked with Eddie Hall, the world's strongest man, when he did a 90-day carnivore challenge. Dr. Baker is a great resource along with Dr. Chafee. Yes. Yes, for sure. I love Dr. Baker as well. His book is excellent. I don't know what this is referring to, Sherry. It will be interesting to see Jenny's take on it, so wait until she does it. Okay, what about electrolytes? Homemade versus Element and other brands you like and daily recommendation. I think electrolytes are super important in the beginning of carnivore. I think everybody should make sure they have some on hand for the worst of the keto flu symptoms. But then I think as carnivore wears on, not as important. It just depends. Depends on, are you out doing a bunch of work in the sun and you need to replenish them? I personally do the raw unflavored Element. I'll do a couple of those a week in a bunch of water. And then when I can afford it, I get the sparkling waters. I really like the grapefruit, the watermelon, and the black cherry lime. And I'll do like one of those a day. And that works for me. I use apple cider vinegar or pickle juice right before bed. That is for the heartburn question. Okay, here's another question from the post. Seafood on carnivore. I know you can have it, but is it okay for like one meal a few times a week? I live on the Maryland-Pennsylvania line, so it's pretty big here. I love seafood. Shrimp, crab, and scallops are my go-to. Not a big fan of oysters. I know most seafood is lower in fat, so I've just been dipping my shrimp in butter. I do feel like it helps me stick to this diet, but I don't want to overdo it. Any thoughts are great. Seafood is awesome. Eat as much as you want. Some of it is pretty low fat, so just make sure you're adding in fats. But yeah, I don't think you can eat too much seafood. Seafood is awesome, and then it really helps you with that omega-6 to omega-3 ratio. So yeah, if you want to eat it, eat it. Next question, thoughts on a 48-hour water fast for someone on meat-only carnivore during months 1 and 2. What would you suggest eating as your first meal once the fast is over? I've heard if you consume too much fat that you'll go number 2 instantly afterwards. Yeah, totally. So I think in the first couple of months of carnivore, the main focus should be just getting used to the diet. If you came to carnivore and you're already an experienced faster, like you've already been intermittent fasting or you've done 24 to 48 hour fasts in the past, sure, go right ahead. But I don't think you should force it. I didn't do my first 24-hour fast until I was on carnivore for a year, 14 months or something like that. So play it by ear. Sure, you can definitely try it for sure. But I like to wait until your body is fat adapted to start doing that. Otherwise, it can be a bit difficult. As far as your first meal, once the fast is over, 48 hours isn't really that long of a time. So if I'm doing a fast that's that long, I just eat normal. I just eat a steak or eggs and bacon or whatever. But yeah, for a longer fast, you want to ease into it. So maybe just eat some eggs or something and then, kind of go a bit heavier and a bit heavier for the next couple of days. And yeah, you can have some pretty quick diarrhea after a fast just because your intestinal tract is pretty clear, so that can definitely happen for sure. Final question on the post, and then I'll get back over to our questions over here before we finish up. Eggs, cheese, butter, is it okay or not? Eggs, always okay on carnivore unless you have an allergic reaction to them. Or if you're doing the lion diet where you're only eating beef and or ruminants, salt, and water. But for most people on carnivore, all meat, all seafood, eggs, and butter is the way to go. Cheese is going to be a little different. I personally think that everybody should cut all dairy except for butter for the first month so that then you can reintroduce one item at a time to see if you have any sensitivities to them. I personally cannot do a lot of dairy because of my Hashimoto's. So it depends for the cheese one. For the butter, most people are going to be able to do butter. Butter is an excellent way to add fat to a carnivore diet. It is an animal fat, and almost all of the milk sugars have been removed during the churning process. So what's left behind is fat. Only the very most sensitive people are going to have a reaction to butter. And if that's the case, then they can try ghee, because ghee has had everything removed from it. And people that can't do butter can typically do ghee. But yeah, that's that. Okay. Sherry, I was referring to the at-home test for A1C and answering someone else. Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, it's hard to keep track of everything that's going on. Yes. Yeah. So I wrote it down. I'm going to order some and I'm going to test them and see how they hold up to the lab testing for sure. Okay, I was on a PPI for some years and stopped. They inhibit your HCl, which is bad. Stopped with carnivore for me. Yeah. So sometimes, you come to carnivore with really low stomach acid in the first place, and then you can have some heartburn issues. It does take a little bit of time for those to improve. The question here for this person was they've been on BBB&E for 3 months and they've been fine. And then the heartburn started to flare up. So that was kind of the concern for sure. All right, guys, it looks like we've gotten down to the end of our questions. I have no more questions on the post either. So this was super fun. We're going to do another one of these next week on Wednesday. This is a good time for me because the boys are sleeping. I really wish I could do these in the evenings, but I got family time and they're so little right now, but maybe in a few years when they're off and they don't want to hang out with me anymore. So next week, same time, I will do a post so that I can answer your questions if you're not able to make it, and then you can rewatch it later. This was super, super fun. All right, guys, I will see you again next week. Have a great day, and thank you for hanging out with me. This was fun.